Hey, I'm Aaron Rayford. I'm a small business owner and I love all things entrepreneurial. I like to share some of the things that I'm learning as I go so that other small business owners can benefit from that. Maybe there's something that I've gone through or a lesson that I've learned that might encourage you or help you, and so I'm sharing some of those today. Right now I'm in a very heavy management season. I'm not only focused on it myself, but I'm focused on it with all of my teams, all of the managers underneath me. We're all working on ourselves and we're all looking to see how can we be the best possible manager. In some reading this year, I have read that a lot of times the reason that people quit their jobs isn't because of lack of pay or lack of benefits, but more often than not, it comes down to not having a great manager, which can result in not having a great culture at work, which nobody likes. So I wanted to share some things that we went over most recently in some of the meetings that we've had. The first thing that I want to talk about is support and training. When we have an employee underneath of us who maybe is new to the job and they're learning kind of what success looks like, it's really important that you spend adequate time setting that person up for success. In a book that we're reading called Everybody Deserves a Great Manager, there's a story about this that actually hit home a little too hard. The author talked about a manager not giving enough support and likened it to a new skier at the top of a mountain being pushed down a black diamond. If you don't know skiing, then just know that black diamonds are the hardest slopes to ski, so you wouldn't want to be there as a beginner. The very first time I went snowboarding, I warmed up on a green, the beginner slopes, and then 2 runs later, some people who will go unnamed brought me over to a black diamond, and I had that terrifying experience of going down the mountain and just sliding, smacking my rear. It was not good. So I can empathize with anybody who is starting a new job, they're learning what it looks like to be successful, but their manager doesn't give them enough training, doesn't give them enough tools, doesn't give them enough support, and just says, go ahead, do the best you can. Some people might thrive under that and kind of trial by fire sort of thing, but more often than not, people could false start. And then you're frustrated as a manager because the person that you put in that position isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. But in that scenario, I would say evaluate, have they had proper training? Can they properly define what success looks like for them in that position? If the answer is no to those things, then take a step back and make sure you spend some time with them. It will always be time well spent. The other thing that I thought I would share is that when you have somebody that goes from, let's say, a beginner position and maybe they've been promoted to a manager, the expectations change at that point. And I think this is an important lesson to get as both a manager and someone who's managing managers. Success at the entry level looks like a sale, or in the real estate world, it might look like installing the cabinets properly. We do a lot of real estate investment and home building, so that's kind of in my space. But if you take that a step further and then you become a person who's managing somebody doing those things, your metric for success has completely changed. So it's no longer a matter of if the cabinet's level, if it's done right. It's did the person underneath of you have the skills, the training, and the knowledge to do that well. As a manager, you're successful if the team underneath of you is successful. That's a tough adjustment to get used to, so it's something to be aware of. And here's a temptation to avoid. A lot of new managers, as they're stepping into that role, they remember what it was like when they were crushing it, when they were doing all those things right. And when they see someone underneath of them not getting it, the temptation is, I know how to do this. I'll step in, I'll put the cabinet in right, I'll level it, it'll be perfect. However, there's a problem with that. Number one, it's not scalable. If you have to step in and do everything that your team's supposed to be doing, then there's no room for growth for you or your team. Number two, your team members are not learning how to do it well. You're not training them on the expectations for the job. And so when they hit a difficult thing at work or they don't know how to do something, their immediate response is going to be to ask you to jump in and help them, which is going to leave you as a manager burnt out, stressed out. The bottom line is you have to enable your team. You have to train your team on expectations. You have to be okay with them making mistakes, because if you remember when you were there, you probably made a lot of mistakes that helped you develop and learn from to become great at it. So don't forget that swooping in to save the day isn't always the best technique. One more thing I'll add just about management in general is just everyone is different. Everybody learns differently. We have different learning styles. Everybody comes from a different background. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. Just because somebody doesn't do it the way that you have done it or the way that you think it should be done, don't count them out, but rather communicate the values for the company and the overall goals and brainstorm with your team members on how they can achieve them and give them feedback along the way. This open communication will solve a lot of problems, a lot of assumptions that can lead to burnout and heartache overall. Anyways, that's all for now. I just wanted to share a couple things that I've been learning, that I've been applying, that our team is benefiting from, so hopefully your team can too. If you like the video, don't forget to like it, leave a comment, subscribe, share it with somebody. I'd love to hear if you have any management tips that have worked well for you. And until next time, keep up the great work.